Hey guys, I am back, and this is part 2 of the randomized total drama and adventure camp cast, whatever. And this is the cast for action. It's Raj, Courtney, Damien, Cody, Stephanie, Miles, Brooke, Dakota, Caleb, Spud, Lake, Aiden, Millie, Yule, and Jasmine. So, yeah, and a few changes is that I'm gonna get rid of all the aftermath because it's not really important. So there's gonna be 22 episodes this season instead of 26. Okay, so in the first challenge, so I think that Aiden and Raj would have more of a bond this season because they started having a bond last season. And oh yeah, and if you haven't seen my part 1, then you should watch it because it'll be important to part 2. Okay, so and Damien would still be scared of everything, but not as scared. Caleb would, yeah, Caleb and Kitty would get along because I just feel like they would. And then Courtney, she would just be Courtney, and Stephanie and Yule would still have their duo thing because they didn't really have a fight or anything last time. And Millie, she would try to make amends with everyone because of her diary, but she would fail. And yeah, Brooke and Dakota would be like friends or whatever. And then Spud would just be there. Courtney, Jasmine, and Lake would all start a trio, and Katie would kind of be a part of it. And then Miles would just be there, just like these three. Okay, and then I think that who would win would probably be like Caleb or Yule or Stephanie or something, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so in the alien one, I think that these 4 would stick together. These 4, and then these 3 would all stick together since they don't really have anyone. And then yeah. Oh, and then I think that I think that these 4 would be the most capable of being chef, but I think that Damien would get out, and it would take Raj off his game, and then Aiden, and then Caleb gets the egg, so he gets immunity, and I think that Stephanie would also get immunity, or Yule, but I'm just gonna say Stephanie. So then it's the double elimination, and I think that it would so everyone would think about voting Millie, but Spud, Millie, and Miles convince Stephanie and Yule to convince everyone to vote off Kitty since she won last time, and they would also convince them to vote off Raj, because him and Aiden are getting close. So yeah, then I think that Stephanie would also obviously pick Yule, Caleb would pick Damien, and then Stephanie would probably pick Courtney, then Caleb would pick Aiden, and then Stephanie would pick Jasmine, Caleb would pick Lake, Stephanie would pick Brick, then Caleb would pick Dakota, and Stephanie would pick Millie, and then Oh. I don't know what happened. So I think I accidentally put one extra person in here. So yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead with it. Okay. So then, so I think that this team would, well, Aiden would probably complain that this team has more members, but yeah, and then they would all say that it's okay or whatever. And then yeah, and then the acting challenge, I think that this team would win because these three are pretty good at acting, I guess. And then yeah, and so this team would lose, and I think they would vote off Dakota. And then the beach one, I don't know why I put camp. It's a beach. So I think that they would win, and then this team, they would start they would start an alliance and bring Spud into it, and they would vote Brick. And then yeah, and then there would be a comeback, and I think that it would be Raj. So yeah, and then the cowboy episode. Oh wait, shoot! I forgot this was a non-elimination round. Okay, and then the cowboy episode. So yeah, so this team would probably lose again, and then these two would pair up with these two again, but I think that Miles would be the odd one out, and yeah. And then the next one, I think that they would probably win since they have less members, and then so that means this team wins, and I mean loses, and I think that they vote out Rick, and yeah, the doctor one, non-elimination. So yeah, in the scary challenge, I think that Damien will get out again because he did it last time. And then yeah, so so Stephanie and Yule would I think that Yule would kind of get tired of Stephanie at this point, and Stephanie would get tired of Yule. So yeah, and then they they don't stop being a duo because it's strong and they could get far, but they don't like each other anymore. And then I think that the disaster film, this team would lose, and yeah, and I think that Yule would actually convince all of these people to vote out Stephanie. Wait, yeah, wait. Oh, sorry guys. I get confused on what's in the elimination challenge and what's not. So, this episode, they vote out Stephanie. Then the bank robbery, I'm gonna use a number generator to find. I'm just gonna say, out of these, I think that Taylor would be the one to sue her back way on there, even though she wasn't unfairly voted out or whatever. And then she would only kill her ribs because, yeah. And I think that they would lose. And yeah, and I think that Taylor would would convince Caleb to vote out Lake before it's too late and she gets far. And so yeah, and then the caveman, pretty sure, yeah, that was a non-elimination. Then the sports one, yeah, Yule and Courtney Courtney would replace Stephanie, and then Millie would finally make her amends with Jasmine. And yeah, and I think this team would lose because this team is more athletic, besides Aiden. And yeah, so I think they will probably vote. They'd probably vote Spud. And then it's the merge. And then, yeah. So I think that Raj and Aiden would be dating at this point. Taylor and Caleb would also be dating. And Yule would be trying to pretend to like Courtney like he did with Brett. And yeah, so then these two would be friends because everyone else has a partner in the game. But yeah, and then this doesn't matter. In the superhero one, I think Caleb would win. Oh, and then I think that these three would start a villain alliance, and they would convince these three to vote out Jasmine. And yeah, and then the princess one, Courtney would all be the princess again, and she would win immunity again. And then, so Taylor. Oh no, they would have their villain alliance again, and yeah, so then they convince Aiden that Raj is cheating on him, so then they get Raj out. And yeah, and then Aiden finds out that Raj didn't actually cheat on him. So yeah, then he gets mad at the villains and Yule and whatever. And then this episode doesn't matter. Well, it does matter. So yeah. So I think that Millie would win since she's kind of detective-y and stuff. And yeah. And she would probably take Aiden to the movie. And then, yeah. And then next episode. So, yeah. And then the rock and roll episode. Yule would probably win. Or Caleb. But I'm just going to say Yule because he's more stagey or whatever. Courtney could also win, but I'm just going to say Yule. Because, yeah. Why not? And then they would vote Caleb. They would vote Courtney. And then it would be a tie between them. And I think that they would both get out. And then... Wait, no, that won't work. So I think that Caleb would beat Courtney in a tie. And then in Japan episode, I think that Millie would sit the challenge out, and then Caleb and Aiden would be a duo, and then these two, and then, yeah. And I think that these two convince Millie to join their villain alliance. And then the space episode, I think that Taylor would win because she's like good at like holding her breath or whatever. And then, yeah. And then I think they would vote out Aiden since he got really far in both seasons. Then the Animal Buddy episode. So I think that Yule would definitely not win. And I think that Caleb would win. And Caleb would convince Millie to vote with her. And then, yeah. So then, they vote Millie. They vote Yule. And then they both get out. And then the finale would obviously, Taylor would lose and Caleb would win. See you guys in the next part.